Okay, so this is the 3.2 V6 Alfa engine, and I'm just describing how I fixed a fault. And the symptom of that fault was when you first start the engine, you get a loud ticking sound coming from behind the pedals, really, through the firewall, and you could only really hear it from inside the cabin. You couldn't hear it outside. Usually only when you first start it up, and it usually goes away within 10 or 20 seconds, but sometimes it could last for 5-10 minutes. So I found that when I heard the sound, I could also notice that this fuel hose here, which is the top fuel hose, the supply hose coming from the tank, was pulsing, and you can definitely feel it. When the engine's running, if you hold your hand on that, you'll feel the pulses through it, and you compare it to these other hoses and you won't feel the pulses. So likewise, if the engine's not making that pulsing, ticking sound in the cabin, you won't find this is pulsing. So I had a read up of the computer, the manual on the computer, and found that this is the high pressure pump here, and you'll see there's 3 steel lines running into it and 1 non-steel line coming off the back. The top end of the fuel pump here has got a device called a pulsation dampener built into it, which the purpose of which is to remove the pulses from this hose. So to fix mine, all I've done is taken the hose off here, and I had to break the factory clip, which looks a bit like that. They're non-reusable, so now I've got a standard hose clip on mine. I took that off, and I found that the stub of that hose and chamber was full of liquid. I presume it was fuel. I'm pretty sure it was fuel. This looks to be a check valve here, so fuel should only flow in this direction and not be able to come back. But according to the description in the manual, this should only ever be full of vapor. So this sits on the other side of there's a diaphragm, a rubber diaphragm in the pulsation dampener, and on one side of it is the fuel that is coming in on the supply tube, and on the other side of it is this vent line, which should just be vapor, and it flows back and tees into the return line to the tank. So I took that hose off and saw that it was full of fuel, and started the engine with the hose off, and it just blew that bit of fuel out of that chamber, and that dribbled down onto the engine, but it stopped almost instantly. And I noticed when I put my finger over the end of that stub of that pipe, when the engine was running, you could just feel the pulses of gas pressure on your finger, very light. I'm not recommending you do that, but that showed me that at least the pulsation dampener was working again. So I put the hose back on it, and that seems to have fixed the symptoms. But the real question in my mind now is, why was there fuel in there in the first place? Because there probably shouldn't be. So I would suspect that either this check valve here isn't working and return fuel is getting back past it. Either that, or my diaphragm in the pulsation dampener has a slight leak past it. And I guess this is just something I'm going to monitor now and see if these symptoms return, and I might take more action. But it's not as easy as just taking off the cap of the pulsation dampener, which is held on by 3 screws, because Alfa, in their wisdom, rather than using Allen keys which have 6 sides, they've used a special key that's got 5 sides. So I'll have to go and track down the tool if I want to do that. So that's where I'm at with that, and I hope this helps you with your problems.